Alright guys, I was doing some grocery shopping and just happened to pass the filter aisle, and I figured this might be a good time to talk about filters. So let's dive in. Alright, so there are different sizes of filters and different levels of filtration that you can choose from. Now, I don't have any specific brand recommendations, but when I do talk about filters with my clients, I try to do my best to give them the best options to choose from based off a rating. So as you can see here, we've got MERV 5. This is not a bad filter if you have a very clean house. You've got all the good filtration already, such as a HEPA bypass filter, all the ionizers and UV lights and all that good stuff. Alright, so this filter right here, as you can see, not a bad filter. You can almost see through it. It's not going to catch a whole lot. It's really for just catching the big stuff, and that's rated at a MERV 5, which I'll talk about MERV levels here in a minute. Now, you can go up to 10, 11, all the way up to 14 on this list here in Walmart. But where I usually fall when I talk to my clients is stay right around MERV 10 or 11 when choosing your filters. Now, the one filter you want to stay away from is any filter you can see through, because if you can see through it, what's it filtering? So here's a prime example of these filters right here. Alright, the Easy Flow filter. You can't see through because there's about 4 of them in this pack. But if I broke it down to just one filter, you could see right through that thing. It doesn't really catch much of anything. And the main goal of your filter is to not just keep your air clean, but to keep your air conditioner clean. This keeps the blower wheel clean. This keeps the evaporator coil clean, and it helps keep your supply ducts clean. It's not going to do much for your return ducts unless you have a dust-free house. But if you don't have a lot of dust in your house and you want to go with a lower MERV rating, a less restrictive filter, that's fine. But stay away from the ones you can see through, because again, all they catch is the very large particulates. Is MERV rating right here on the EPA.gov. MERV stands for Minimum Efficiency Reporting Values, or MERV. This breaks down just how large or small the particulates are that your filter is going to catch. Now, if we look on here between 1 and 4, the average particulate size in microns is approximately 3 to 10, less than 20% of particulates. And you go up a little bit higher to the MERV 5, 6, 7, you'll catch a little bit more than that. And like I said, I usually fall between MERV 10 and 11. It's not too restrictive, it doesn't put too much on your system. You can go down to MERV 8 and it won't be too bad. Now, when we're talking about microns, let's look here, like how big is a micron? Now, you can see here on our little graph on the left, starting off with about the size of a coffee ground down to a micron. This gives you a little bit of an idea of just how big a micron is. So micron is short for micrometer. Alright, that means it's 1/millionth of a meter. in diameter. Now, as you can see here, most single dust particles no bigger than 5 microns in size, so a filter that stops particulates down to 1 micron size will be able to catch most or much of the airborne dust. Now, when you start talking about things that are smaller than that, as small as a 0.1 micron, like pet dander, which pet dander here falls right around 0.5, wood smoke down to 0.2 or 3. These levels here, I mean, it gets very tiny. Something else you want to think of is if you do any drywall work in the house, that drywall dust is super fine and will go right through your air filter if you don't have a good filter. And that's why I highly recommend, if you do any drywall work in the house, you use at least a MERV 11 filter, and you change that filter immediately after the drywall work is done. Otherwise, you could have an issue with your system freezing up on you. Now, like I was saying, you want to make sure you use a filter that catches the dust, particulates, pet dander, things like that. But you don't want a filter that's so restrictive that it puts a lot of strain on your system. You also don't want a filter that's not restrictive enough to where it lets too much through, i.e. those easy flow filters you can see through. So my overall recommendation really falls between a MERV 8 and 11. I wouldn't go any higher than 11. It starts to get a little too restrictive and can cause duct pressure issues, and I wouldn't go any lower than an 8, because at that point you're not really catching enough. Then it also depends again on how clean your house is, how dust free your house is, if you have a lot of pets, if you have a lot of dust in your house, whether or not you have an ionizer. What an ionizer will do is it will take all the dust, dirt, particulates, dander, hair, things like that, and put an ionic charge across them to make them clump together so your filter catches it better. It's like taking a snowflake and turning it into a snowball, and that's pretty much the effect that it has. So I would recommend, if you do have allergies or a lot of dust issues, to have an ionizer put in, and your HVAC professional can take care of that for you. I hope that this was helpful. Please make sure that you like and subscribe, and more to follow.